All right, y'all, got some bonus material here for you. So, Trump is, honestly, pains me to say it, but I think it's accurate. He's back on his game. He's been hammering all the other Republican politicians on the fact that they want to cut Social Security and Medicare. That's a very politically potent attack. Sean Hannity has been asking all these other candidates who are either running or are going to run on his show, where do you disagree with Trump policy-wise? And not a single one of them has a good answer. And now, Trump just visited East Palestine, Ohio, where there was the massive chemical fire and train derailment. And he beat Joe Biden there, and he beat Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary there. So, I mean, look, we're going to get to how he's, at the very least, partly responsible for the train derailment and chemical fire. But just from an optics perspective and from a politics perspective, this is very smart politics. There was a while where Trump was just caught in his own mind, where he would not shut up about the 2020 election, and he was annoying everybody, and he was saying things like, terminate the Constitution, on Truth Social. And I don't know, in recent weeks, I should say, it really seems like he kind of cleaned up his act politically, and he's back to, a more formidable opponent. So this is him, I guess, arriving in East Palestine. About a minute-long video here, 3.7 million views on Twitter, and let's watch.
Thank you, sir. Honor to meet you, sir. Mr. Trump, what do you make it about Biden not showing up? You showing up before he did.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Hey, Trump, take a picture of my phone. Picture? There he is. He's Trump, the real president. Hey, Trump, take a picture of my phone. Thank you, Trump.
Thank you for not forgetting about us. Thank you, Don Jr., too.
My daughter was like that.
President Trump, I love you.
I love you, baby. Oh, hey, thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump.
He is so much more comfortable in front of the cameras and in front of an audience than Biden is. I mean, that's obvious. And this is an area of the country too, by the way, where under Trump he ran as like the anti-outsourcing guy, and we lost 200,000 jobs under Trump. And here you have a bunch of people from this region who are still like, Trump, oh my God, we love you, man, we love you. Trump's superpower, honestly, is his shamelessness. Because he knows that, under his administration, there was a net outsourcing of jobs. He knows that he did the deregulation that at least in part led to this train crash and the chemical fire. But he just shows up and acts like he's not responsible for those things. And, when it comes to optics, he sort of wins the battle. So it's kind of crazy. Anyway, now let's go to the next video. So here he is. He's giving a speech in East Palestine. Let's see what he says.
Especially thank some of the incredible people that helped us, because we're bringing thousands of bottles of water, Trump water, actually, most of it. Some of it we had to go to a much lesser quality water. You want to get those Trump bottles, I think, more than anybody else. But we're bringing a lot of water, thousands of bottles, especially thanks.
So this reminds me, remember when they cut the checks during COVID, Trump was like adamant that they put his name on the checks so that people know, like, yeah, it's your president who's saving you here. And that helps him with votes. There's a similar thing. He's bringing bottled water to East Palestine, and he's like, most of the water is Trump water. This is such an own goal for the Democrats. Like, the Democrats just missed a layup here. Biden should have been there first. Mayor Pete should have been there first. Trump is beating both of them. Biden was just over in Ukraine. Now, I'm not saying that, it's a bad thing that he went to Ukraine, but the optics of going there over East Palestine, Ohio, and going there first, and especially because he was announcing, like, we're going to give hundreds of millions of dollars more of aid, And it's like, well, you know, maybe you should be pumping a lot of that money into East Palestine. Now, this is a line of attack that the Republicans have been using recently, but honestly, I think it's a fair line of attack. The only issue here, of course, is that the Republicans are colossal hypocrites, and they all supported the deregulation that led to the crash in the first place. But, again, they're managing the optics so much better, in my estimation. All right, so now, again, this is Trump during his East Palestine trip. Here he is. This is probably the most Trumpy video of all time. He's in McDonald's, and he's ordering some food. Let's watch.
What's your specialty today?
How are you today? Nice to meet you.
Hello, everybody. That's a nice, beautiful-looking group of people. So I know this menu better than you do, okay? I probably know it better than anybody in here. We're going to take care of the fire department.
Okay.
We're going to take care of the police department. What's your specialty?
Wow. Jesus Christ, man. He's good at this shit. I can't. So he's going into McDonald's. He's charming him. He's like, I know this menu better than all you do. I eat this stuff all the time. What a beautiful group of people. Anyway, we're going to order for the police department. We're going to order for the fire department. It's amazing. Like, our system is so corrupt and so disgusting and so broken that you have this, like, billionaire wannabe boss man born with a silver spoon in his mouth who's able to, like, posture as a man of the people. And it's like, it's working. This is effective. You know what I mean? Like, I actually think this is going to help him in terms of his numbers. Oh, man, Jesus Christ. Look, I really didn't think we'd see the return of, like, 2016 style Trump, but in terms of how he campaigns and stuff. But here it is. Here it is. Jesus Christ. All right, so now that I've showed you all the, you know, the managed and popular and positive optics that we've gotten here from this trip he did, let me show you a video from, we like to call them the Lincoln Pervert Projects, folks. The Lincoln Pervert Project released an ad on your favorite president, Donald J. Trump. And look, this is a rare instance where they actually get it right. Like, what they're saying here is factual. So this is, of course, the criticism as Trump is up there trying to make his numbers go up in the polls. Here's the reality.
This particular railroad and others lobbied President Trump to dismantle an Obama-era rule that required railroads to update their braking systems.
As Donald Trump travels to East Palestine, Ohio today, let's ask him one question. Why did he end the railroad regulations?
President Obama tried to make them mandatory after a bunch of derailments in 2014. Said, let's just put them on the cars that have explosive carcinogens, for example. But in 2018, the Trump administration, Elaine Chao was the transportation secretary, rolled it back entirely.
Regulations that would have kept us safe from the Norfolk Southern Railway accident.
So that's a good ad, and that's an accurate ad. I mean, the only thing that they're burying here is the culpability of Obama and Biden and Mayor Pete as well. Under Obama, they didn't categorize or classify this group of toxic chemicals as like the top level of toxic chemicals. So this was like a slightly less regulated version than the worst possible chemicals. And that is it's kind of a BS categorization. It's not a fair categorization. It probably should have been included in the top level of hazardous toxic chemicals. And so that actually was Obama's fault. So there was a piece of deregulation or lack of regulation that you could put squarely on Obama. But to his, semi-credit, he did say, we had a bunch of train derailments. Let's have the electronic brakes, which are the better version of the brakes, the more safe version of the brakes. Because they were using and still are using Civil War era technology in the brakes. And so Obama called to upgrade them, and then Trump got in there and said, no, we're not going to do that, and he scrapped it. And so, again, this guy is a deregulation machine. This is part of his ideology. I mean, he believes in a more unfettered, laissez-faire version of capitalism, and this is what you get when you lack regulations. So there's some responsibility for Obama. There's definitely responsibility for Trump. And then, of course, the blame that you put on Biden and Pete is that, hey man, you guys have now been in office for a while, and there was no attempt, no effort, no nothing to try to bring back some of these super important regulations. And even since this train derailment, there's been more train derailments. Now, thankfully, in the other more recent train derailments, there hasn't been, a massive chemical fire that went along with it. But again, we're on borrowed time, man. When you have decades and decades and decades of deregulation and a vicious form of capitalism that are ruining everything, yeah, it's gonna manifest. Like, this is the manifestation of that. This is the chickens coming home to roost on that front. So there you have it, guys. Optically, there's nothing you can say other than this is a huge W for Trump. As much as it pains me to say it, I mean, part of my job is calling balls and strikes. So that's not just telling you how I feel or what I know about the situation. It's also telling you what I perceive the public reaction will be. And my track record on gauging that has been pretty solid. So I do think this is going to help him in the polls. He might grow a little bit of an even bigger lead over DeSantis now in the GOP primary. But this was all totally preventable. If Biden had immediately went to East Palestine, or Pete immediately went to East Palestine, if they immediately said, we're going to enforce these regulations, even if it's not technically on the books anymore because Trump scrapped them, Biden says, through executive order, I'm going to do this. Who's going to try to stop him on that front? Even the Republicans would be scared of their own shadow to say, oh, really? We're going to try to sue the Biden administration when they say we'll enforce a regulation that would have prevented this disaster. They want that political L, by all means, go ahead and sue. Let me know how that works out for you politically, right? So there are a million things they could have done. They didn't do them. And without a doubt, this is an own goal.